I would stand maybe a little wider with my driver than obviously the rest of the clubs. It really feel as if I get myself into a good, athletic position where I'm ready to hit the shot.
Where do you feel your weight and your feet, toe-heel relationship as you're talking about balance? Is it?
I mean, it's more in the
arches?
Yeah, more in the arches for me. I really feel as if I can engage my legs, my quads and my glutes and really feel really stable over it, it means I have a solid base from where to swing.
So you kind of widen your stance, get the weight sort of in the arches there, and then what's a thought that you're going to have as you're taking that club back, other than picking out your target?
I like to think of on the way back keeping it nice and wide, keeping it here, and really extend. I keep my left arm very straight through the swing anyway, but really just try and take it away as like a one-piece takeaway, and just take it wide into the top here. And then if I know if I get it in a good position there, I can turn it through.
Show us how that works. So your key is more feeling your left arm going back there?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. So obviously just try and pick a target out there. Get your setup nice and wide. Feel stable.
Beautiful there. And when you're thinking about tempo, obviously, because a lot of people, when you're thinking wide, a lot of people are starting to move a little faster, but your swing almost looks like there's a pause at the top there. Is that something that you're thinking about as you're preparing to hit that shot?
Not particularly. I mean, I always think you need to give yourself time to hit the shot, like so on the way back I'll go there, and I'll try. It's almost like a spring, or you wind yourself up, and then from there, and once you get to the top, then you can just let it all unload.
So let's hit one more here as we look at that. So there's not a conscious thought of pausing, but you're definitely slow to the transition.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if that's a thing with me, my fault would be I get a little quick in the transition, which obviously, you can open yourself up too much, or the club can get behind you, or, so
a lot of bad stuff can go.
Yeah. So nice and stable, slow to the top.
And then just hit it as far as you possibly can.
Well, that's the plan, yeah.
That kind of works. I can't even see that far.
In order for me to swing the driver well, I've always played my best when I feel like my hands are as far away from my head as possible, which creates a lot of room and a lot of width on the way down. I start going bad when I get narrow with my hands next to my head, which means then I have to throw it out. I lose a lot of power, hit a lot of balls out to the right. When I get wide, I can stay behind it, hit the draw, ball goes a little further. And I see a lot of amateurs get in here where they can kiss their hands. That's not the position you need to be in. You can be out here a little bit further away from your head. I guarantee you'll hit the ball a little bit further.
When you swing harder, the only thing that happens is everything goes faster except for the club head, and that's what's got to move faster. So I make a very conscious effort to swing slower. Now all the elements of my swing to happen, and give a chance for the club head to give as full an arc as possible and as much power as I can get it by taking a long, full swing. So this is what, if I want to hit another 5 or 10 yards, used to be 20 or 30, it's 5 or 10 anymore. See here.
I don't think it matters if you have a real quick swing or a slow swing, but for me, it has to be slow to set up. It's a pitcher, he gets up, and he winds, but, he's not putting his foot up real fast. He's getting that hip up, and he's loading. And to me, it's the same thing in golf. If you're hitting a baseball, you're sitting there, you're loading on your right, unless, of course, you're going to bunt. But you got to load. And I think a lot of amateurs don't load. And, to be able to hit a good golf ball, to me, everything's right here, but you've got to be able to load. And to me, it's still on the right side, finish on your left.
When I play with senior golfers, we all get stiff. You know, as we age, we're not as subtle, not as strong, not as flexible. So my tip for you would be, if you're in that category, open that right foot a little bit. What I want you to do is get more hip turn, because if that foot is too straight, you're gonna restrict your hip turn on the backswing, which restricts your shoulder turn. Now, if I open that a little bit and get more hip turn, see, I can get more shoulder turn. And that little extra turn will help your timing, will help your club head speed, and your delivery through the ball.
Martin, this wind particularly right here, this left to right, a little bit against, was my nemesis. And I had to learn to control the ball in this kind of wind, or hit it straighter. I wanted to get it in play, and this was, again, my hardest golf shot. So what I would do is tee the ball slightly lower.
Okay.
If that were my normal height, which was about halfway above the top line of the club, I would bring it down about 3/4 of an inch, so it was mostly into the face of my club. So I teed the ball lower, and now we're talking about just the reverse of hitting it long.
Right.
I was taking the bigger turn to hit it long. Now I'm actually going to choke up slightly. If I were full out here, I would probably go down about an inch.
Right, so quite a bit sticking out there on the
Yeah,
end. Yeah.
I would come down about an inch on the club. Now I had more control,
Right.
and I could set it back in the stance just a little bit because I have shortened myself up.
Right.
And that is when I took my shorter body turn. I had to get it in the fairway off of this wind, and that's the way I went about putting it in play.
Have I ever told an amateur to quicken up his swing? Never, ever. I've only ever told an amateur to slow down. A slow swing with a driver is a good one. A fast swing is all over the place. So we've got posture, we've got stance, we've got rhythm. And the rhythm of my swing tends to be in slow motion most of the time. It seems, well, he hasn't really hit it. Where's he hit it? And this is a question I'm always asked about, you know, whereabouts do you hit the ball? Well, I don't really hit the ball at all. I'm hitting with a driver. I've got all the way back, and all I'm doing here is hitting through that golf ball. That golf ball's not there. That golf ball's really about there, 2 foot past where the golf ball is, so that I don't actually stop at the ball. I'm hitting through it. If you actually hit at something, like with a hammer, you hit it and you stop. If you hit through something, wow. And look where I'm already. I'm even just doing this naturally. Here, look, I'm right through on the left side, right through, walking through, a la Gary Player, you know, walking through. That's where I want to be going. Imagine if you were hitting at something here. Oh, it's all wrong.